Good day, I'm Sofia Bautista, BSed major in English, and on this video, I will be having teaching demonstration for English 8. Good morning, class. Yes, John, please lead us a prayer. Amen. Once again, good morning, class. Okay, before you take your seats, please arrange your chairs. Pick up the pieces of the paper. Students at the back, please check. Okay, that's good. So you may now take your seat. Okay, so how are you doing today, class? How are you? That's great to know that you are doing good today. So before we start our lesson, who can recall what was our last topic all about? Yes, Wendy. Very good. We talked about symbolism. Now, who can give me an example of symbolism? Yes, Casper. Rose stands for love or affection. Okay, correct. Now, again, symbolism is all about images or concrete references that stands something else in reality. Okay, so to start with our discussion for today, who wants to play game? That's good that you're all in. So, our game is called Word Quest. So, for the mechanics, I want you to look for the hidden words in the scrambled letters and try to unlock the words. I have pictures that will give you hints. Are you ready? Okay, good luck. For the first one, what do you think is this word? Yes, Jane. Tongue? Let's see. Very good. Tongue. For how about this one? Yes, Joanne. Hands. Okay, let's see. Very good. This one. Yes, Luigi. Nose. Nose is correct. Okay, well done, students. So those pictures and words have something to do with our topic for today. Now, who can guess what will be our topic for today? Yes, Clarice. Parts of the body. Yes, it could be parts of the body. One more answer. One more guess. Yes, Jane. Senses. Okay, senses. Yes. So our topic for today, class, is all about sensory images. So for the objectives, at the end of the lesson, you students should be able to identify present imagery in the literary text. Write sentences that apply sensory images and appreciate the significance of sensory images used. Okay, so before we dig deeper to our discussion, I have here 5 sentences. And I want you to identify what are the senses present in these sentences. Are you ready? Okay, for the number 1. The campfire crackled quietly in the night. So what do you think is the sense present here? Yes, Renz. Sense of hearing. Correct. Okay, how about this one? The light flower scent of my sister's perfume invaded my nostrils. So what do you think is the sense here? Yes, Apple. Sense of smelling. How about this one? Brightly colored hot air balloons fill the clear sky. What do you think is this? Yes, Monique. Sense of sight. Correct. This one. As I carefully swallowed each delicious morsel, I savored the rich and creamy chocolate bar. What do you think is this? Yes, Eden. Sense of taste. Correct. Now for this last one, this desk has a hard, smooth surface. So what do you think is the sense used here? Yes, Lily. Sense of touch. Okay. So those senses, class, based on those senses, what is your idea about imagery? Yes, Vanessa. Very good. Okay, so imagery, it refers to the senses which creates images in the mind of a reader. Okay, so imagery, class, it is a vivid, clear, and vibrant form of description that appeals to readers' senses and imagination. So in short, class, it evokes a sensory experience. It creates mental images and through the use of words by the reader or using the descriptive language. Now, how about sensory? Do you have any idea what is sensory? Yes, Gail. Okay, so those are the senses that I presented a while ago. So sensory, class, in poetry, it refers to any description that involves one or more of the 5 senses. So when you are going to read a literary text or a composition or a story, there may be a lot of sensory present on that text. Okay? Now, since we are talking about sensory, let's discuss or determine what are those 5 imagery. Okay? So for the number 1, what type of imagery is related to loudness and noise? So in the example that I presented you, the campfire crackled quietly in the night. What made you think? What are the words that made you think it's a sense of hearing? Yes, friends. Crackled quietly. So in imagery, class, this is called Auditory imagery. It describes what we hear. It can be noisy, quiet, or loud. Can you repeat after me? Auditory imagery. Okay. Next one. What type of imagery is related to aroma and stinks? On the example that I've presented you, the light flowery scent of my sister's perfume invaded my nostrils. So you said that it's the sense of smell. So what are the words that made you say it's the sense of smell? Yes, Trixie. Light flowery scent. Okay, correct. So when it is called olfactory imagery on imagery class. So light flowers scent, it creates a sense of smell. It depicts or it creates images of my sister's perfume smells light and flowery. So olfactory imagery class, it describes what we smell. It can be stinky, flowery scent, sharp, aroma, and etc. Now for the next one, what type of imagery is related to colors and shapes? On the example that I've presented, brightly colored hot air balloons filled the clear sky. So you said that it's the sense of sight. So what are the words that made you say it's the sense of sight? Yes, Verity. Brightly colored. So you can imagine that the hot air balloons filled in the clear sky looks brightly colored. So in imagery class, this is called visual imagery. Okay, so it describes what we see. It can be colors, shapes, lines, or geometric patterns, and etc. Now for the next one, what type of imagery is related to bitter and sweet? In the example that I've presented, as I carefully swallowed each delicious morsel, I savored the rich and creamy chocolate bar. So what are the words that made you say, it's the sense of taste? Yes, Clarice. Very good. Swallowed and what else? Savored. So in this imagery class, this is called gustatory imagery. Repeat after me. Gustatory imagery. So it describes what we taste. It can be sour, bitter, bland, or sweet. Okay, or chili. Okay, so for the last one, what type of imagery is related to texture? In the sentence that I have presented, this desk has a hard, smooth surface. So what made you say that it is the sense of touch? What is the word that you used here that made you say it's the sense of touch? Yes, Verity. Very good. Hard and smooth. So in imagery class, this is called tactile imagery. Repeat after me. Tactile imagery. So it describes what we touch, feel, the texture. It can be soft, rough, like that. Now, do you think it is important for us to use sensory images in writing? Yes, bye. Very good. So it helps us imagine on what we are reading in a certain literary text. So again, class, it helps readers to think more deeply about the text, which allows us to draw mental images and follow specific details in the text. And from this, it creates interaction between the reader and the text. So I have here some examples of sensory images for the auditory. The children were screaming and shouting in the field. So the words here are screaming and shouting. Very good. So for the tactile imagery, the girl ran her hands on the soft satin fabric. So the words here is soft. Okay, so for the visual imagery, the beacons of moonlight bathed the room on ethereal light. So you can see that the speaker is telling us what he or she has seen. Okay, so for the gustatory imagery, the spicy Korean noodles burned my throat. So the word here is spicy. For the last one, olfactory imagery, Jenna sensed a stinky skunk as she was sitting at the bench at the park. So the word here is stinky skunk. Okay, so to check your understanding of the lesson, I have here the finding sense. I want you to read the poem entitled Daffodils by William Wordsworth and identify the imagery used in the poem. Okay, so I will give you 2 minutes to read since this is only a stanza, and I will call someone to tell me what is the imagery present on this poem. Okay? Okay, you may now start. Time's up. Okay, so who wants to volunteer? What do you think is the imagery used in this poem? Yes, Atlas. Visual imagery. So on what part? Very good. So in these lines, a host of golden daffodils beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. So it is visual imagery. As you can see, the author is expressing or telling us what he or she has seen. Okay? So now, do you have any questions? Okay, no? Okay, so let's have quiz. Construct sentences using the 5 types of senses. I want you to write it on one whole sheet of paper, okay? So I'll give you 5 minutes and 1 minute to summarize or finalize your answer, okay? Let me now start. Time's up. Okay, Miss Joanne, please collect the paper because I will be checking that one later, okay? So do you have any questions, class? Clarifications? Okay, if none, I will be the one to ask. So, who can tell me the 5 types of imagery that we have tackled a while ago? Yes, Rance. Very good. So, those are the 5 types of sensory images or imagery. Now, is it really important for us to use these sensory images when writing? Yes, Casper. Very good. So, it helps us to connect and imagine what we are reading in a certain literary text, okay, or a story. Okay, that's good to know that you understand our lesson for today. Now, if you have no questions, let's have our assignment. You have to look for a literary text and determine the imagery used in that literary text, okay? There should be at least a minimum of 5 imagery. When to submit? January 31, 2022. And you are going to write it on 1/4 illustration board. Make sure to include the literary text and the author that chose, okay? Then you put your answers below. Make sure that you design your output creatively, okay? You may print it, okay? You may print it. You don't have to put all the story or the literary text. You just have to put the specific paragraph, and below is the part where the imagery is present, okay? Do you have any questions? No more? Okay, that's good to know. So number of points is 50 points. So make sure you design your output creatively. Okay? So that's it, class. If you have no more questions, you may now take your break. Goodbye. See you in the next meeting.